It has begun. At least I think it has. Yep. Alright. Social media dance. Danced. Okay, so we're just gonna wait a couple minutes for people to come on by. Then we'll start the show. My upstairs neighbor is mobile. But at least she's quiet at night.
That's always a good thing.
Mm-hmm. She's never up too late. Or if she is, she's at least quiet. Which is all I ask.
You didn't want a tap dancer upstairs?
I've had some noisy people upstairs. I've even had neighbors below stairs be amazingly loud. It's like, how am I hearing you when you're below me? You are beneath me. Some neighbors are just beneath me.
Not when you're on the ground floor.
No, unless we're talking about like the mole people or something. So tired, tired of waiting, tired of waiting for the show to start. Yep. You hear that, internets? You've got 2 minutes to show up before I start the show and talk about Nintendo for an hour, as I'm wont to do. Because, honestly, what is there other than Nintendo? What could we be talking about other than Nintendo? Well, I suppose anything else. There's Sony, there's Microsoft. There are things other than video games, like anime, movies. Uh, I guess interpersonal relationships rank somewhere towards the bottom of the list, but I guess they're on it somewhere. Six people watching me drone. That's kind of amazing when you think about it.
Oh, I always find
There are like six other people on this planet who are watching me on purpose. It's difficult to conceive of someone accidentally watching this show, you know? Hmm. Okay, how many seconds before I can start? About 3. All right, 7 o'clock. Let's get the show on the road. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Molehill Mountain, episode 44. Andrew Eisen here, all by myself, all by my lonesome. Well, my sister's over there somewhere, but Zachary is not with us tonight because he has a family and they're doing Easter Eve stuff. My sister and I will be doing Easter stuff, but we'll be doing it on Easter like normal people. We've got like a bag of M&M Easter eggs. What are those? See, we've got M&M eggs. So that, oh God, they're peanut butter. Um, we also have dates and peanut butter, which I hear is a great combination. And we've got carrot cake. And saying it like that is an inside joke that you won't get. You see, I made up a voice for carrot cake, and that's it. Because if I figure if carrot cake has a voice, that's what it sounds like. I don't know why, but it seems appropriate. So You've got me all to yourselves tonight, Internet. So, any pressing questions you want to ask, please feel free to ask them in the chat. I will probably ignore them and instead spend the entire hour talking about Nintendo. But before I do that, I would like to talk about cartoons. One cartoon specifically that, now there are a lot of cartoons that I have not seen, but are uh, highly, highly recommended and quite lauded. Steven Universe is one. I hear it's great. I hear it's wonderful. I've never seen it. I don't even know what it's about, but I hear it's good. Maybe I'll see it someday. I guess it's about a guy named Steven and his adventures in the universe. Um, I've heard the name Gravity Falls. I have no idea what that's about. Adventure Time, holy biscuits, does that get a lot of praise. I can't stand the art style, so I may never actually watch that one. Um, but what I'd like to talk about is a show called Bob's Burgers, which is another show where I don't really like the art style. I don't like the character design. But it's another show that I hear a lot of people talking very highly of. And I like me good cartoons. So um, I actually have not watched a show. I, for some reason, YouTube recommended a clip from the show, and I went, maybe I'll just sample a few clips from the show, see what it's like. So I watched one clip, and I was like, okay. And I watched another clip. The first clip was just Bob himself in a supermarket arguing with a deli person. Then I watched another clip, which was him arguing with his family. And then the third clip I watched was another clip of him interacting with his family. I don't think this is a show I'm going to like because I don't like any of the people in it. Now, again, I have not seen a single episode. I've only seen like 3 minute and a half long scenes from the show, but his entire family are terrible. Like, not funny. For me, if you're a terrible person, a terrible character, there's nothing more frustrating to me than a terrible character that no one else in the show's world seems to realize is a terrible character. It's one of the reasons Iron Fist didn't work for me. Is Iron Fist, Danny Rand himself, is a genuinely horrible human being, and no, the show doesn't seem to realize it. You watch something like Archer, and Archer is a stupid pain in the butt who's likely to get everybody killed. But everyone knows it. Everyone thinks Archer's an ass. So it works. Bob's Burgers, it's like, again, just from the few clips I've seen, I don't like these people. And the show kind of treats them as, oh, they're quirky and I'm like, no. But then again, I've only seen a couple clips, so um, sorry, oh, Kelly likes Bob's Burgers and wants to be Gene the son. Okay. Uh, Joshua says Finn Jones sucked, who's the actor who played Iron Fist. Rest of the show is amazing. I'm not going to place any blame on the actor. There's no actor that could have made that character good. It was just crap writing. The character sucked. So, um, so I'm not going to harp on Finn Jones, and I haven't seen him in anything else. I don't know who the actor is. Uh, I hear he's in Game of Thrones or something, which I've never seen or read. Um, so all right, let's talk about Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't like money. Nintendo has an incredibly popular product that it released last fall, and everybody wants it, but it's so damn popular that I've never seen it on store shelves. Uh, I know a bunch of people who really want one and have never seen it on store shelves, and a lot of time rely on me Oh, dude, Andrew, you're in the know, man. If you hear that Target or Best Buy or someone's getting a shipment, let me know. I'm like, all right, and I do, and no one can ever find one. So it's an incredibly popular product. Um, Nintendo's having difficulty meeting supply. Where have we heard that before? Except with the Wii and Amiibos and the Switch. So Nintendo has discontinued the NES Classic Edition. It's been confirmed discontinued for North America, Japan, Italy, uh, Australia. Are we okay up there? Good God. You probably can't hear that over the mic, but someone just dropped something upstairs. Matthew, is this an assumption or a rumor, or is there actually some evidence to support the idea that it's a licensing issue? Um, because everyone is trying to figure out what the hell is Nintendo thinking? Why? Why not just make more so people can buy them and Nintendo can have more money? Because when you discontinue the NES Classic Edition, the only thing you accomplish, well, you accomplish several things. One, you make scalpers very, very happy. Two, you piss off a lot of your fans. Three, you make no money. And it's kind of difficult to come up with a scenario in which this would be a good business decision. And a licensing issue with one or more of the titles on the NES Classic Edition does make some sense, right? Because not every game on there is a first-party Nintendo game. You've got a Capcom game on there, Mega Man 2. One of the Castlevania games is on there. That's Konami. And that's a helicopter. So there are plenty of other companies, and there may have been a licensing snafu. Although one would, Nintendo is old hat at this. They've been in the game for decades. Well, they've been around for a century, but they've been in the video game for decades. You think they would have had some pretty solid contracts for their licensing. You would think that licensing wouldn't be an issue, but you never know. Licensing can be really, really, really weird like that. And it's one of the proposed scenarios that makes at least the most sense, right? Although you would think that Nintendo would say, okay, we've got a licensing issue. Would at least, whatever the, let me go through another scenario here. One idea that has been floated around that could possibly be the problem is Nintendo wants to concentrate all of its resources on manufacturing the Switch, because there's a finite amount of production lines and resources to go around, and they don't want, and every NES Classic they make is a Switch that they're not making. That's actually it's like, is Foxconn really the only place you can ever manufacture anything? But maybe. But even if that was the case, you would think Nintendo's like, okay, we are temporarily suspending production of the NES Classic Edition while we meet the incredible demand for the Nintendo Switch, which is the fastest selling video game console we've ever had. And we'll pick it up again once once you can semi-comfortably go to a store and buy a Switch, then we'll start cranking up production on the NES Classic Edition and try to meet that demand too. I think most people would be like, oh, well, okay. I mean, sucks that I don't get one now, but at least I know I'm not completely SOL. Joshua asks, have I seen Gotham? No, it looks terrible. I don't know if it is terrible. I've heard it's terrible, but yeah, I don't watch a lot of TV. Kelly doesn't like it. Matthew says it seems like they thought it would be a holiday impulse thing and then stopped selling it. Yeah, but once you see that it's not, once you see that it's something that's going to sell more, wouldn't you just, even if Nintendo did completely miss the mark on how popular classic NES games would be. Um, you think they go, oh, well, crap, let's make more and make money. Um, so weird. But I have a theory, a conspiracy theory, a very dumb theory. You see, I sit back and I think, now, who does discontinuing the NES Classic Edition actually benefit? Well, scalpers, because uh, demand was high, supply was low, so scalpers bought up them all and sold them for 2 to 3 times their asking price on eBay. Now that it's been announced that the NES Classic Edition is discontinued, scalpers are selling them for 6, 7 times MSRP on eBay. What if? What if Nintendo are the scalpers? Hmm? That would make sense, right? Nintendo makes 2 million NES Classic Editions, puts 1.5 million out on market, and keeps the other 500,000 for itself to sell on eBay for 6 times MSRP. Huh? Ah, yeah. We see what you're doing there, Nintendo. You are the scalpers. Because you know you couldn't get away for marketing the or selling the NES Classic Edition for $300. But if you deliberately shorted your own supply, then you could get away with selling it on eBay, reselling it on eBay. We see you, Nintendo. We see you. So that's my theory, which actually kind of makes more sense than any of the others. It's going to be interesting to hear the next investor Q&A, right? Um, I'm really looking forward to the next investor Q&A. I just want someone to go, Nintendo, WTF, man? You were like making money, and then you said, hey, let's make a decision to stop making money. What? Now, to be fair, the Japanese page for their version of the NES Classic, uh, I ran it through Google Translate, and it says something along the lines of, "This has been discontinued. However, if it ever comes back, we'll make a note of it here." So maybe it will come back someday. Although you think they'd be a lot more explicit about it. Let me read the Nintendo statement, because why the heck not? Throughout April, Nintendo of America territories will receive the last shipments of Nintendo Entertainment System NES Classic Edition systems for this year. Does that mean we'll receive more next year? No, but who knows? We encourage anyone interested in obtaining this system to check with retail outlets regarding availability. Yeah, there are none. There never have been any. It's been 6+ months. I have never been able to find one. We understand that it's been difficult for many consumers to find a system, and for that we apologize. Don't apologize, make more! We have paid close attention to consumer feedback, and we just don't care. And we greatly appreciate the incredible level of consumer interest and support for this product, but we don't really want your money that bad, so piss off. What's funny is I'm acting like I'm really sore about this, and I don't want an NES Classic Edition. I have no interest in the product because I'm old and I played all these games already. In fact, I own most of them on a working NES. So, I have no need for this particular product, but it does just frost my cookies that Nintendo constantly does things that make no damn sense. I mean, some consumer unfriendly practices, it's like, well, I can at least see what they're going for from the business side because it's cold, ruthless, calculating. They're just in it for the money. It's greed, corporation, arg. Yeah, okay, it sucks, but you see that. Sometimes though, Nintendo does stuff, and you're like, why? What are you doing? What is the point? How does this benefit you or anybody? Unless, again, you are the scalper. It's the only one that makes sense. So, Matthew says this stuff lags months behind, meaning shifting resources to Switch production won't see an improvement for months, then switching back then takes months. That's true. Um, they've been manufacturing Switch units for months. You can't just crank out 2 million in a month. It doesn't work that way. So again, it is possible that they said, all right, get the NES Classic Editions off the line and put these Switches on because we need to make lots of those. But, there's this secret that we in the industry refer to as two production lines. Multiple products at once. Can you dig it? So, the optics of this are kind of terrible too. Nintendo's statement kind of feels like a middle finger. It's like Nintendo doesn't understand or doesn't care. And I know it's a company, and companies aren't supposed to care about you. Companies are not your friend, but it still kind of hurts, right? It's like, oh, Nintendo, I thought we meant something to each other. But yeah, so maybe it's piracy. I heard this idea that because some people said, "Well, wait, the NES Classic Edition is just the 30 games. Can I plug one of my old NES cartridges into it and put no, no? Oh, can I download new games to it? No, no. Oh, uh, okay. Hmm. So some people figured out how to download more games onto the NES Classic Edition. And maybe Nintendo was like, that thar is piracy, yar. And we can't have that. And they would rather, they would cut off their nose to spite their face. Which is weird because, the games we're putting on the NES Classic Edition are games you aren't selling. Recognize that there's a demand for this stuff and sell it to us, numbnuts. Maybe it's a matter of the NES Virtual Console will be hitting the Switch very soon, and they don't want to compete with that. Because I imagine, like consoles past, they will be selling NES games for $5 a pop, whether they should or not. Seriously, pinball, not a $5 game. Golf, not a $5 game. Super Mario Brothers, $5 is fair. Legend of Zelda, $5 is fair. Balloon Pop, no. 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 But the NES Classic Edition's 30 games, $60 for the whole thing. So if you include some of that cost going into the hardware itself, you're getting these games for less than $2 a piece. And Nintendo is probably like, well, what if they can't get that collection of games for $2 a piece? What if they had to pay $5 a piece for them? Well, Nintendo, here's the thing. When you charge $5 per game on the Virtual Console service, people will just buy the handful of games that they really, really want. And of course, I'm speaking generally here. They're going to get Super Mario Brothers, they're going to get Zelda, Metroid, Mega Man, 5, 6 games. It's $30, right? On the other hand, they see, ooh, for $60, I can get 30 games. I might not even want every single one of those, but hell, $2 a game, I'll buy them all. So, and it's not, pardon me, it's not like Nintendo doesn't have competing products at the same time. Switch and 3DS, both portable devices. Of course, maybe they'll discontinue the 3DS really quick. And I, of course, was snarking on Twitter that, oh, look at the Switch. I mean, it's selling great. It's in high demand. You can't even find it in the stores. I bet Nintendo discontinues it by August. So it's selling too good. The funniest take I heard was actually someone on Twitter or somewhere suggests that maybe Nintendo developed a terrible coke habit back in 06, 07. It's like never again. We can't have that much money again. After the Wii sold out, we snorted all of our profits, and we can't make that much money because we'll blow it all on blow. Maybe that's what it was. So, Heart and Soul. I like that name, Heart and Soul. Nice. Um, my guess is profit margin. Nintendo can't possibly making much money from this with all the licensing. Uh, that's true. Was Nintendo selling the NES Classic Edition at a loss? I don't know. No one knows. I don't think anyone will really ever know unless, someone retires and spills the beans years down the line. But Nintendo doesn't do that. Nintendo. I don't believe that Nintendo put let's just make 2 million of these and put them on the shelves just out of the kindness of our hearts. I'm sure there was an expense. There's R&D expenses, there's manufacturing expenses, there's licensing expenses, but I can't imagine they were selling these at a loss. It had to have been sold. I mean, it maybe, sure, maybe, who knows? But it's really hard to imagine that it was sold at a loss. But you never know. JM Boot says there is a rumor that discontinuing the product will get more people wanting it, talking about it, and they'll make more after demand skyrockets. Annoying, but might be effective. Also, would be really stupid because demand is already that high. This just pisses people off. Now you have a couple of people who go, you know what? Screw it. I don't care anymore. I'll just go emulate all this crap because I'm tired of having to stock Target and Best Buy. Stock, not stock as in put boxes on the shelves, but I'm tired of having to call Target and Best Buy and Toys R Us and Fry's Electronics every single damn day just to find a product. Screw it. I'll just download the ROM from the internet. I don't need this crap anymore. So if that is Nintendo's approach, my ever so humble opinion is that's a really bad approach. I don't think it's going to work, but Matthew says they would have to pay for that extra production line. Why do that when you can just swap from NES Classic to Switch? Lol. Yeah. I mean, it does cost money. Maybe they just do not want to spend the money to make more when they're busy manufacturing Amiibo and Switches and 3D, a couple of varieties of 3DS units and all the various accessories. Maybe it was just one thing too many, and maybe the NES Classic Edition was like profit margin wise the least profitable. And it's like, well, I'm sure there's some math somewhere that adds up. It would just be lovely if Nintendo would share some of that. It's under no obligation to, but when the optics are this bad, when the alternative is genuinely pissing off your customers, and I'm pretty sure you're pissing off a guy who doesn't even want one. You probably want to massage your approach there a little bit. Cecil says they don't want the money and then complain about piracy. I know, right? Piracy, people are always going to steal stuff, but you can um, help mitigate that by making a better service, by making your products more available. There are some games that, you pirated Mother 3. It's like, yeah, I want to play the game. You won't sell it to. It's the only possible way. Like I have the right to every game, but still, if people want to play a game or watch a movie or listen to a song or whatever, they are going to do it whether you want them to or not. You may as well make money off of that desire. So, Max the Birdcage. The Switch is not a desktop console. It's a portable with the possibility of connecting it to the TV. Yes, that is what the Switch is. It's a portable that you can also hook up to your TV. Yes. Matthew says NES should be $2, SNES should be $5, N64 $8, and the GameCube stuff true $10. If you're talking about virtual console, yeah, I'm really cheap, so I agree that with prices like that. Back on the Wii U, it was I think NES was $5, which I think for some games is fine. Star Tropics, $5, sure. SNES games are typically, I think, $8, which again, for some games, Link to the Past, sure. N64 games, I think, were a solid 10, which, yeah, sure, yeah. Most of the pricing, I didn't have too terribly much of a problem with. It's just some NES games, again, like Pinball. It's like, why? No, that's not $5. And I think if Nintendo really did just sell these for super cheap, like $1 or $2 a piece, like Nintendo games, $1 a piece, people be buying these things all over. I'll just buy them all. Like, look at Hamster with their arcade and Neo Geo stuff. If they were $1 a piece, there's a lot of people like, hell, I'll just buy them all. Instead, you get one per. They're $8 a piece. So most people are not going to take a chance on Waka Waka 7 or whatever the hell that is. They'll just, I'll stick with King of Fighters 99 and Metal Slug 3, thanks, because they're $8 a piece. Or maybe I'm just really cheap. I don't know. Max says, for me, the Switch is the next to the 3DS. But what they did was add the dock to make it look like it's the competition of the PS4 and the Xbox One. Oh, okay. So basically what you're saying is that it was a handheld, and they're like, you know what? Let's give this ability to hook up to the TV. I've argued this in the past. I think a different approach for marketing the Switch may have been as a handheld that an extraordinarily powerful handheld that hooks up to your television rather than a console, a lower powered, a less powerful than the PS4 and Xbox One console that's also portable. Who knows? I mean, we're only a month and a half out. It's selling fine so far. Here's another thing. The numbers that have been released so far for the Switch's sales are completely meaningless. Means nothing. The Switch selling out means nothing. It's normal. This is what consoles normally do. Consoles from the major, and Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft. This is what happens when a major company releases a console. Typically, it sells really, really well. It sells out. For example, the first 6 weeks of the Wii U sold around 3 million. The first 6 weeks of the PS4 sold around 3 million. So did the Xbox One. I think the range between the three was like 2.9 million to 3.1 million in their respective first 6 weeks. Yet the Wii U ended up selling 12, 13, 14 million over 4 or 5 years. The Xbox One, I don't think they actually released numbers, but it's probably around 25, 30 million. And the PS4 is up in the 50 million. So it doesn't mean anything. And Nintendo's saying, oh, it's the fastest selling system we've ever had. Great. Without an actual solid number to compare that to, that doesn't mean anything. Because if you sold 906,000 Switches in North America in the first 4 weeks, and your next fastest selling console sold 904,000, that doesn't really mean much, does it? Now, if the second place was like 700,000 or something, it's like, oh well, hey, that's a hell of an advantage. So you really can't judge this yet. It's too early. It's not doing poorly. I mean, if you were still seeing Switches on the shelves and it's like really easy to walk into a store and buy one, that might be indicative of it not selling too well. But it's selling normal. It's normal. But I mean, a lot of us are Nintendo fans, so feel free to cheer and rock on, Nintendo. You're heading in the right direction. Good on you. And truly, absolutely. Some perspective is nice. I think it's important to understand that the Wii, it's also important to understand that it's March, not pre-Christmas, so it doesn't have the holiday bump, and it's still doing as well as consoles typically do when they first launch. And that's something to take into account too. But we also don't have a whole ton of evidence for how well modern console launches do outside of the holiday season. Maybe they do that well regardless of when you launch them. Maybe the holiday bump doesn't really do much. Hard to say. Let's see. Gabe Newell said piracy is a service problem. In a lot of cases, absolutely. Because a lot of people, piracy is a matter of convenience. It's a matter of I can't get the thing I want to get, or it's way too cumbersome to get the thing I want to get. It's just easier to pirate it. And some people are like, ooh, I can get it free. Those people you're probably never going to reach. So you may as well make money from the rest of them rather than, no money from any of them. Let's see. Hey, Dave. The hook of the NES Mini was that it was literally a small NES. People weren't necessarily wanting it for the ROMs. They can get that on the Retro Pi. No problem. It's a nostalgic item. People want it. Lol. Yeah, this is. I've argued this before. The Nintendo Switch. I'm sorry. The NES Classic Edition should have been made available in by the checkout stand in every Walgreens and Rite Aid. I mean, someone who goes to Rite Aid in the middle of the night to get some jock itch powder, and some pads for his girlfriend. Dragging the stuff up to the counter, setting it down, and oh, hey, maybe some Cadbury cream eggs too. And it's like, what's this? A little mini NES with all my favorite games from when I was a kid? And it's only $60? Hell yeah! This should be an impulse buy item. Not a limited edition thing that's it's like the Disney cartoons. Back into the vault with this thing. You won't see it again for 6 years. Why would you do that? Don't do that. Nintendo, why don't you like my money? Is it because it's in my wallet, which is in my back pocket, which is really close to my butt? Is that it? Do you not want money that was near my rear end? I mean, I guess that's kind of understandable. Wait a minute. I pay with credit cards, Nintendo. What's wrong with you? It's like, hey, money, wait. This has been near someone's butt. Oh, wow. F255123 says there are hard numbers. Thank you. I'm sure there are. Matthew says we'll know how the Switch is tracking by July. Yeah. We have some solid numbers for Switch shipments right now. But yeah, I think the second quarter is really going to be where you can start forecasting. My point is the first 4 and 6 weeks, you can't forecast with that data because it's the same for pretty much every single console. Like I mentioned, the Wii, the PS4, and the Xbox Xbox One all sold pretty much the exact same amount. Basically, every damn thing they could manufacture, they sold. And the PS4 kept selling, and the Xbox One did okay. And the Wii U just completely dropped off the face of the earth. I mean, the Wii U actually had a good, solid, decent launch, and then there were no games in January, and there were no games in February. In fact, there were almost no games until I think Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate came out in March. There was like a really crappy Fist of the North Star game that came out on the eShop, I think in like January, February. But it was literally the release schedule was so bare that Satoru Iwata, the president of Nintendo at the time, in a Nintendo Direct, bowed his head and apologized. That's how bad it was. Let's see. Matthew says, I have two theories on this matter. Number one, the NES Mini was used as a stopgap between the Wii U and Switch as something to sell for the holiday. I'll get to your second point here in a sec. But yeah, definitely a something. Hey, let's get some product out there for the holiday. And you know what? Nintendo said, "Hey, we sold 1.5 million worldwide by January." I think they announced, if I'm remembering that number correctly. Great. That could have been 4 or 5 million if you had the units. That number could have been way bigger, which would have had been much more butt money. Number two, Nintendo is clearing out NES Mini production lines in order to ramp up Super NES Mini. You just got here, didn't you, Matthew? Yeah, that's a. You would think that you'd do both, but again, as I mentioned earlier, that would be a something Nintendo might want to relay to its customers. It's like, we are currently suspending the production of the NES Classic Edition in order to meet demand for the Switch, and as soon as we get that supply demand line a bit more even, we'll continue production with the NES Classic Edition to facilitate the desires of you fine folks who want one too, because damn it, we are Nintendo and we want you all to have fun, and we will not rest. We will not be happy. We will not be satisfied until every single one of our fans has an NES Classic Edition to call their own. But that's not what they said. They said, you know what, we're done. We're just discontinuing this. You didn't. We appreciate you, but if you didn't get one, good luck. Anyway, yeah, Kelly doesn't like the price of Cadbury eggs. Yeah, they made them smaller and more expensive. Uh, Super Metal Dave says some perspective also. February 25th, 2011 to March 31st, 2011, the 3DS launched and sold 3.6 million in 5 weeks. So I'm not sure if Switch is really the fastest with over 2 million and 4 weeks, maybe in the USA. They did specifically mention that it's the numbers were North America because it was the NPD group numbers. So yeah, don't know. Matthew, well, Nintendo has done a better job with releases this time. In as far as video games go, I hesitate to say that. Well, I mean, there's certainly there's not a gigantic hole in the release schedule as there was with the Wii U. Um, you know, May and June look like there are actually going to have some games in them, unlike the Wii U's January and February and most of March. But Breath of the Wild is really doing wonders for Nintendo, and there's some other cool games there. But most of the Nintendo's release schedule is chock full of games. While nice to have, are games that, unless you're a new gamer or an exclusive Nintendo gamer, are games you have had the opportunity to play before, sometimes for years. Um, and again, these are all great games to have, but they should be in addition to the new stuff, you know. Um, but E3's coming. Well, maybe it's just off to a slow start as far as new stuff goes. These things take time, so uh, you know, E3's 2.5 months away, something like that. What day is it? Okay, so 2 months away. Um, Scotty, I find it funny that more Zelda Switch software was sold than Switch itself. Yeah, that's something that Nintendo noted. Wii U in North America sold 906,000 units in North America, and Breath of the Wild for the Switch sold like a little over 1 million. So there's over a 1-to-1 attach rate. Nintendo's speculating that there were a number of gamers who bought two copies, one to play and one to put in a shelf with like little track lights and light candles, and pray to it every evening or something. Some gamers do that. I guess they bought a cheap one and a collector's edition to always keep in the box. But yeah, what is it called? Zelda, yeah. A couple people bought more than one. Let's see. Nintendo's bad at supply management. Sadly, not new. Yeah, Now, sometimes things are just so damn popular that you can't keep them on store shelves, like the Wii. That does happen, and it's unfortunate. But it's like, and it's a lovely problem to have, right? We're making them, but you guys keep buying them. But with the NES Classic Edition, they're like, nah. And again, if it's a matter of we want to concentrate on Switch production because there's higher demand for that, and that's the more important thing right now, great, say so. That's an understandable problem to have, I think. But I think it's really just PR and optics, and or maybe it's just me. Um, Matthew, I did just get here, guilty as charged. Ha ha! Matthew says Nintendo's too conservative for its own darn good. In a lot of cases, yeah. On the other hand, let's talk about Senran Kagura. If you watch the Japanese Nintendo Direct. Okay, let's back up a moment. What is Senran Kagura? It's a series of games. It's a series of games that star a bunch of overly endowed underage ninja girls. Most people who are aware of Senran Kagura know at least that much about it. It's like, have you ever heard of Senran Kagura? Oh yeah, it's that game with the ninja girls with the boobs. It's like, yeah, it's exactly it. I would wager that there's a significant percentage of those people who have heard of Senran Kagura and would at least recognize some key art from the game who have no idea what genre this game is. You'd ask me, it's like, what kind of game is Senran Kagura? It's like, is it a dating sim, fighting game, tournament fighter? Is it a real time strategy game? Is it like a Warriors game? It's typically a side scrolling brawler, but it's funny. It's the gameplay isn't what sells that one. It's the art. So there's a Senran Kagura game coming for the Switch, which we kind of expected because the dude whose name I don't remember, who's basically the guy behind that series, said, "Yeah, Senran Kagura. You know, I'm really interested because that HD rumble has got my creative juices flowing." And HD rumble, of course, is the hyper sensitive rumble that uh, can make you feel different things. Like, oh my gosh, there's ice cubes floating around in my Joy-Con. Oh, the rumble is so sensitive, it feels like there's something shaking around in the Joy-Con. And he's like, hmm. So the Nintendo Direct had a 1-minute feature on the new Senran Kagura game. And they focused solely on the fact that using HD Rumble, we can make the Joy-Cons feel like boobs. There was no gameplay. Nothing. They probably haven't even started it yet. They're like, we better make sure the HD Rumble feels like boobs, then we'll figure out the game. I hope that comes to America. Seriously, it's a 1-minute spot and there's no gameplay. Not even a discussion of what genre this is. This could be like that creepy girl in a room virtual reality game. You know, the one where there's a room and there's a girl in it and you can just stare at her from any angle. Like a low angle. Huh? You see? It's like, oh, look at the texture on her blouse. Yeah. So maybe maybe the Senran Kagura game for Switch is exactly that. And there's just a girl standing in a room, and you just just do this. Just hold the Joy-Con in each hand. Whee! That's Copperfield the game. Maybe I'm completely off base. Maybe it's another side-scrolling beat 'em up, but it's nope. Wow, it feels all jiggly. It feels like a jiggly pudding. It's like, have you ever felt breasts before? I don't have them, so no. But I do have water balloons. That must be something similar, right? you know, um, I watch a fair amount of anime. If you have really good eyesight, you can see a lot of it behind me. Um, I get the impression sometimes when I watch anime or play video games from Japan, I'm like, have you no experience with breasts at all? Because I don't consider myself like the most experienced person in the world. Or, I didn't major in human anatomy, but I'm like, that's not how breasts work. That ain't how they move. It ain't what they look like, and they don't feel like water balloons or jiggly pudding. Seriously, go. Let me. I'm gonna find a link so you can all watch this because it's really really great. Um, maybe not. You can find it. If Zachary were here to fill some time, I'd do. Hang on, I need to wipe tears from my face. Uh, okay. Uh, you know, I watched a show called Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, something like that. And one of my criticisms of the show was it thinks breasts are funnier than I do. But I've just spent the last 5 minutes laughing about breasts, so okay, maybe breasts really are that funny, or maybe it's just other people who have never spent any time with women ever that I find funny. I'm like, women exist in Japan, right? You could like hire some of them. It's like, okay, um, Miss Miss, let's get all the women in the company over here. We've just hired a bunch of women. We got like 10 new hires here. Okay, ladies, come on in. It's like, all right, new game, Senran Kagura. we the point of the game is to do this to girls that just stand there. Um, we want you. We need your feedback, your expert opinion, because we want this to be as accurate as possible. And after the lawsuits are settled, the new hires pick up the controllers, and they're like, okay. And this guy's like, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, um, okay, hmm. Well, it's an interesting idea for a game. It's maybe a little rapey. These girls look a little young, and it's kind of creepy that they just stand there while you grab them and do this. But all that aside, let's just talk the tech here, and then we'll worry about the maybe less than savory implications of this presentation. So let's talk about the tech. It feels like jiggly pudding. And I imagine it's like, well, what do you think? It's like, yeah, jiggly pudding. It's a 10 out of 10. Jiggly pudding is probably like, yes! And they're like, no, that's not, no, not jiggly pudding. Go to your room and we'll engineer this damn thing. And it's like, okay, we have fixed it. And he goes in and he's like, thank you, women's that I have hired to help the breast fondly mechanics. Now it's accurate. Okay, let's see what you guys have come up with. What the hell is that? And then all 10 women facepalm and walk out, laughing. And he's like, "What? I hope you're having fun because I am." I've been ignoring the chat for like the last 8 minutes. So, what have you guys been saying? Let's see. uh, Mixtape Troy says boob game. That's exactly what it is. I have never heard anyone talk about the gameplay. I had to actually look this up. Not today. I've known for a while, but I've long been aware of Senran Kagura. I'm like, you know what? I don't even know what kind of game this is. I had to look it up because no one ever talks about the gameplay. I have no idea. I've heard it's. I read a couple of reviews and apparently it's okay. JM Boot says Senran Kagura is basically today's anime boobs. Yeah. Matthew, Japan has been more tolerant of sexuality than the U.S. is. No PTAs screaming, think of the children in Japan. I'm not in Japan, so I have no idea if there's any people who complain about such depictions. I don't know. Me personally, I don't. What bothers me about Senran Kagura is uh, basically what I said a couple minutes ago is boobs don't work that way, and that's not what they look like. Uh, you see, I'm a fan of boobs. I like them. I think they're groovy. So when so I maybe it's just a personal taste, but I think boobs are just great the way they are, you know. And when you draw them or give them physics that makes them not actually look like breasts or move like breasts or act like breasts, it's just kind of weird. I mean, it's like you're trying to be sexy or titillating or with a cartoon. I'm not sure how that works, but go for it. But I'm not sure why. eh, You know, and you could say, well, it's a caricature. It's like, no, it's not a caricature. It's just wrong. But hey. Let's see. Max says, for me, they never intended to compete with the competition. They want to keep what they have. I guess you're talking about Nintendo and the Switch, which is no, I think Nintendo really wants to compete with the competition, but does it in its own way. Boobs. Better the boobs than the player's avatar anatomy. Hmm. Is Andrew drunk tonight? No, this is just how I act. Boobs are funny. This is Andrew when he hasn't had a few talking about boobs. Yeah, Troy knows me. Yeah. Kelly says, if your viewers, listeners want to see jiggly boobs, well, you're already on the internet. Dave says, yeah, that is one thing I don't get about these games. Is it the interaction? I mean, porn will basically get the job done in 2 to 3 minutes for these guys, right? Yeah, it's like, well, I demand my porn game have like 60 hours of gameplay. Yeah, it's funny. It's like, well, this game has 20 hours of gameplay. Oh, my game has 40, 60, 100, 200 hours of gameplay. It's like, ours is a porn game. It's 3 minutes. Everyone's like, that plenty. Um, let's see. I'm a giggling madman, says James. Yes. Dave says, I thought that game sounded hilariously ridiculous. Yeah. And GFY says, hey, what about the butt? That's interesting. How would you well, if you're talking about my chiseled posterior, then the rumble motors wouldn't move at all. It would just be like hitting a brick wall. Yeah, I'm gonna talk myself. My butt is so rock solid, it's a pain to sit on. Huh? That that doesn't even sound right. I need to. Okay, that's yeah. Yeah, that's a self-effacing it. Oh, I like that. Uh, yeah, hang on, let me make a note of this one. It's a good one. Did I want to talk about anything else tonight? Not really. Well, I mean the we had the Nintendo Switch Direct, and we had Mr. Koizumi. What's his first name? Yoshiaki. I forget what his name is, but new dude hosting the Nintendo Direct. I think he did a nice job. He's still doing the Switch thing, which is funny. I was hoping he'd do some like magic tricks like he did during the event in January, but no such luck. And the format was kind of interesting. The way they did the headlines thing, um, it's interesting. There, it looks like, and I certainly hope they are saving a lot of stuff for E3 because most of the stuff I was just like, meh. Um, Pardon me. Let's I guess go through it real quick. So we had Hey Pikmin, which I was starting to wonder is there no whistle? Do you just scream "Hey" into the 3DS microphone to call the Pikmin over to your side? I don't know. A game could be cute though. Ever Oasis, which is an RPG, might be cool, but I don't want to play an RPG on the handheld. Monster Hunter Stories, I like the art style. The cartoon is kind of terrible. Um, Not sure totally how it plays, but I think it's attractive looking. And maybe if it's just like Monster Hunter Lite as a way to bring people into the Monster Hunter universe and then get them into the Monster Hunter main games, because those games are kind of hard to get into. Could be cool. I'm probably not going to play it again because I'm just not a handheld gamer. Yokai Watch can go away, especially when they do that. Yokai Watch version purple and Yokai Watch version blue, and then okay, here's the definitive edition. And it's like, oh, go away with that. I hate that. And Yokai Watch looks dumb. Called Sept Revolt, a game so unmemorable to me that I keep forgetting which game that is. RPG Maker, sure. Metopia, whatever. Fire Emblem, okay. Some Kirby stuff, whatever. Bye Bye Box Boy, I hear is great. I've never played it. Arms, I really, really, really love the design of the characters, and I love the design of the new one. Noodle Girl, Mean, whatever her name is. I just think the design of the characters is just so damn clever. I have really no interest in playing the game, but I do like the design. Um, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, whatever. I don't care for Mario Kart, and even if I did, I already played it. It's the exact same game. I would not want to play $60 for the battle mode that should have been in the game in the first place. But that may just be me. I think it's probably going to sell very well. Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers. Hey, cool. Street Fighter 2 is great. It's a classic for a reason, but it's also over 2 decades old, and I'm nearly 4 decades old. So I've played it. It's not exciting to me. Minecraft. I don't like Minecraft. It bores the snot out of me, but even if it didn't, it's been available on everything else for years and years and years and years. So yay, it's portable. So I mean, if portable is really something you dig, then I guess these are godsends. But more Neo Geo stuff, which is cool. Sonic Forces. Sonic has always sucked. Sonic Mania again. Sonic has always sucked. I just don't like the games. I don't think they play well. Project Makuru. I think that's that butt stomping one, which looks kind of slow and boring. It looks like it should be a mini game in Mario Party, not a full game, but who knows? Fate Extella, it's a game that already came out on other systems, but hey, it also looks like a 3DS game, not visually impressive, but whatever. Disgaea 5 Complete, great. It's a game that if you really like Disgaea, you've probably already played it, but I guess maybe you really, really, really want to play it portably. I don't know. Puyo Puyo Tetris, cool. I played Tetris. I've played Puyo Puyo. I'm sure when you put them together, they're great. Again, it's a game that's been out for a while. Monopoly, yeah, it's Monopoly. I, are you going to have like some Nintendo themed boards in there? That would be cool. You think you'd show that off if that were the case, though. Rayman Legends, great. Game's several years old. It's been out on every other system. Cinemora EX or X, older game, an updated version of an older game, but it looks kind of bland. Wasn't the most impressive footage. Battle Chasers, well, it's got a nice style to nice look to it. Didn't really. This was during the part where they just kind of booked through stuff. Payday 2. Hey, nice to know what I think Starbreeze is doing on that list. um, Old game. So, uh, cool, I guess. Namco Museum. Hey, other stuff that, it's good to have, but, if you want to play Dig Dug and Pac-Man again, although there are some nice additions on that collection. And that ridiculously overpriced Switch dock is back in stock. They did a bunch of Splatoon 2. I like the Salmon Run mode. It's very nice to see that and really differentiate Splatoon 2 from the first one. It really makes it its own game, I think. It's like, oh, Splatoon 2, it's the one with Salmon Run. Okay, the basically Horde mode if you didn't watch the direct. And they've got a bunch of new uh, amiibo. Uh, finally they got the Corrin and Bayonetta amiibos, which have been like 20 months or something in the coming. So, what about Xbox Scorpio? What about it? We'll probably learn about it in at E3, and we'll see. Uh, it's I guess it's really going to depend. I've seen Digital Foundry's looks at the Scorpio, and it's like, well, so it's basically the PS4 Pro on steroids. It out PS4 Pros the PS4 Pro. All right, cool. I mean, it's really going to depend on support and cost. If it costs $600 or something like that, probably not going to move the needle much. But we'll see. Let's see. When I saw that segment, it reminded me of Tune in Tokyo. Don't know what that is. But Matthew says very rapid fire. What are your thoughts about the Xbox Scorpio? Just said. Would I prefer the Breath of the Wild DLC to be sequel or prequel? I don't know because I haven't played the game yet. So I don't know. 90% of the direct was garbage. Eh, it. I mean, it depends on what you want out of gaming. I think if you're the kind of gamer who's like, man, I have a dream, and that dream is to be able to play my favorite games portably. Well, then this is a list of a lot of older games that will soon be able to play portably. So that's probably making a few people's dreams come true. And talking to a lot of people, I know a lot of Nintendo fans who are just absolutely gaga, just beside themselves with joy over oh my God, it's portable. I can take stuff with me. Cool. I'm glad that makes you happy. Ukulele question mark? The reviews have been kind of disappointing. I was looking forward to that because I'm a fan of the old Rare team and games like Banjo Kazooie, Conquer, and stuff. Even DK64 to an extent. But Ukulele also, they had an actual specific Switch trailer a month or two ago, and ooh, it looked a little rough on the Wii U. I'm sorry, the Switch. So we'll see. Garbage that costs $10 more than the other systems. Don't know what you're referring to specifically. I mean, I know that Rhyme is $10 more than on other systems and coming out later, and I think Minecraft Story Mode, Adventure Mode, whatever the hell it's called, is $10 more, which is basically guaranteeing that's not going to sell very well. Whatever you think of the games, I don't know. Rhyme looks like it could be neat. Minecraft Story Mode, I generally don't really care for Telltale's adventure games, and I don't like Minecraft, so not really a game for me. Of all the things that excited me, Monopoly looked really fun. Yeah, if you like Monopoly, and I guess it's easier carrying a Switch around than a Monopoly game board, and I'm sure the game can be the banker, so which might make it easier. And no one's gonna bury the money in the front yard.
I don't know who
So,
you're talking
well, it wasn't my Monopoly set. um, Shadow in the background looks like Mario with a boner. I suppose so. Is it a Mario amiibo? No, it's my stripper pole full of stuffed toys. Um, it's looking to be 500 for the Scorpio, and you base that on what? Just a guess, rumor. I don't think that's actually been announced. I mean, I think people, listening to what Digital Foundry has reported on, that there's an assumption that it could be that much, but again, this is all speculation at this point. The Switch is the Vita 2, and that is okay. Considering how well the Vita did, no, that's not okay. But do I really think, says Nico Bellic? Oh, Nico, hey, let's go bowling. That the Switch will get a lot of AAA support? No. Or will it get custom-made exclusive games? No. I know that Activision is making a Nintendo Switch title. Well, Activision is on the initial list of Nintendo third parties. No, I mean, it really depends on how well the Switch does, right? If the Switch is a Wii level, well, it doesn't even have to be that humongous, but if the Switch is a success, third parties will bring games to it, but it's almost certainly not going to be, um, the big ones, Grand Theft Auto, what are we up to, 6, or Red Dead Redemption 2. Um, we will probably see some scaled down versions of maybe we'll get a scaled down version of whatever the next Call of Duty is. It's World War II, isn't it? Yeah. What was your other part of the question? Do I think it will get a lot of AAA support? In this AAA support, in the sense of the big tentpole games like the Tomb Raiders, the Hitmans, the Final Fantasy, Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, Call of Duty. No, I don't think we will see a lot of that now. Or will it get custom made exclusive games? I think we're going to see more custom made exclusive games. I think the library is going to mirror the types of games we saw on the Wii. At best, the library will mirror the types of games we saw on the Wii, which was basically games, a lot of shovelware, and also a lot of games made specifically for the Wii. Uh, a couple times you saw people try, like Call of Duty Black Ops, I think was ported down to the Wii. And then the publishers kind of realized that no one really wants a vastly inferior version of a particular game, so they don't really sell that well. On the other hand, the Switch is a lot closer to PS4, Xbox One than the Wii was to PS3, Xbox 360. So maybe the gulf won't be so huge that it won't be worth porting something like Call of Duty World War II or any of the other big AAA games. We'll have to see. It is kind of early yet. It's hard to tell. We don't know how well the Switch will do overall. So, um, let's see. Do. 80s movie. Girl just wants to have fun. Sarah Jessica Parker seen with the guy turning boobs like he was. Oh, grabbing boobs like he was tuning a radio with line tune in Tokyo. Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen that. I think I've heard of it, but anyway. DF price. Oh, Digital Foundry priced out the parts. Okay. Activision is making an exclusive Call of Duty game from King, the guys who made Candy Crush. Uh, okay, I missed that news. Let's see. Nintendo discontinuing the NES Classics because the Switch will become the new NES Classics, only old games coming to Switch and no third-party AAA games. Yeah, basically sums up what I've been saying. Yeah. NC Danny, will I get Breath of the Wild on Wii U? No, I'll probably get it on Switch. It runs slightly better on the Switch, so, and I will be getting a Switch at some point, so I'll get it on the Switch. I downloaded and find it's the best running model so far, as the Switch has to work harder in dock. Okay. Matthew, if the Switch does well enough, unlikely Overwatch should be an easy port, but that depends on how well the Switch sells. Yeah, Overwatch could be cool. Again, not a game for me, but Overwatch can run on the equivalent of a toaster. Hey, modern. Yeah, I don't know. That not my kind of game. All right, so that's an hour at 10. We had some laughs, or I did, and you may have been laughing at me, but that's laughter and that counts. So Zachary was out. He's doing Easter Eve stuff with the family. I'm ignoring my family. So um, anyway, that's the show for this evening. I thank everyone for hanging out with me and keeping me company. And hey, go Nintendo. Should Digital Foundry do a comparison to Breath of the Wild on disc versus digital download minus load times? What do you think? If sure, if they want to, I minus load times. Well, what are we? I'm not clear what that means, but what do we want to compare? I don't know, but I'm not buying Breath of the Wild right now because it's very clear that Nintendo's not done developing it because they're releasing patches to fix the frame rate, which should have been fixed in the first place. So I've actually kind of come up with a new standard in the last while, saying, okay, I will not buy a game new. I will wait a month. And if no performance patches come out, then it should be safe to buy the game. But if a performance patch comes out, then the counter restarts and I wait another month. And if no performance patch comes out, minus load times compared to Switch. No, I don't know what you are asking should Digital Foundry look at. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely not clear what your question is. Um, but yeah, it really bothers. No, I mean sometimes weird crap happens, and the obscure bugs or things that happen. It's great to patch that stuff out, but do I play on PC? Not if I can avoid it, because console is a much better experience for me. I like sitting on my couch. I like controllers. I like television, and I know you can play controllers on on a PC for the most part. I know you can output the image to your television usually, but PC gaming is just a pain in the ass that I don't care for. I don't like constantly upgrading my PC. I don't want to sit at my desk in front of my computer. I don't want to. I don't have to worry about settings or drivers or updating stuff or crashes or weird windows I just want to put the game in the thing and play. I don't want to deal with PC. But if I have no other option for whatever game I want to play, I do play on PC. Kratos says I buy a game 6 months later or wait for the complete edition. Yeah, there are a lot of companies, especially like Warner Brothers. Yeah, I will not buy anything from Warner Brothers because I know they're going to have the complete edition with all the damn DLC packed in for $20 less in about 8 months to a year. So, and always on DRM. Hey, Warren. Yeah, always on DRM is a deal breaker for me too. Although I admit I would make some exceptions for, like, if Mario Odyssey or something had always on DRM, I'd put up with it because Mario. But Mario Run on the iPhone, I totally would have dropped 10 bones on that just to play it. But the always on DRM, which doesn't affect me because if I'm going to play it, it's going to be here and I'm always connected, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's a principled thing. I'm like, whatever. Oh, for PC, yeah, well, whatever. My PC is always connected to the internet, so not a big deal. But yeah, I shouldn't have to be connected to the internet to play a game that I've downloaded to my PC and isn't like multiplayer or anything. N64 Danny clarifying his question says biggest difference between the Wii U and the Switch is load times. So beyond that, would you prefer to download a Breath of the Wild or on disc? Oh, I would. I'll definitely get it on disc, a physical copy. I'm look behind me. I'm a physical media kind of guy. So even though if I'm remembering correctly, I think the load times are slightly slower on the disc than they are when it's installed to the console itself. It's a few seconds. It's not terrible. But did I check out? Nicabella asks, did I check out the Star Wars Battlefront 2 trailer? Yeah, it's fine. It's Battlefront 2, I guess. Just a bunch of CG scene. Basically all they're saying is, hey, Battlefront 2 is going to take place in several different eras of Star Wars. Although I did really like the part in the trailer where they're like, there's some bad guy stormtroopers who are running around the forest moon of Endor, for the Queen or for the Emperor, yay! And then suddenly the Death Star goes boom, and they're like, take off helmets, like, what? How? How could this happen? It's like, this is the second Death Star. The first one blew up the exact same way. What do you mean, how can this happen? 30 years from now, you're going to have a bigger, even better Death Star. And it's going to blow up again. They always blow. I just found it really funny that the stormtroopers were like, how? I mean, once was a fluke, surely. They blew it up again? Okay, we're going to build an even bigger, less explodey Death Star. Oh, it exploded again. Never build a Death Star. People just blow it up. I'm sure it'll be fine. I also saw the trailer for Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Didn't do much for me. I mean, I'm excited to see it. I like Star Wars. Again, didn't like it for for 15 years there when it sucked. But the 7 was good. Rogue One is fine. This one, I'm sure will be good. I mean, basically, the trailer just says, "Hey, Star Wars, people you like are in it." It's like, I knew that. Luke says, "The Jedi must end." I'm like, I've seen the prequels. I agree. The Jedi are terrible. The Jedi must end. I agree. They sent the Jedi seems to keep producing mass murderers. So yeah, you had a run. You had a, yeah. I think it's time to I think it's time to end that one. So yeah. Um, Okay, just rambling. But anyway, signing off. Andrew Eisen, Eisen. Plug it into YouTube. Find my YouTube videos, which none of which have been demonetized so far as I've seen. So I'm still making like nearly $10 a month. It's pretty great. And the federal government doesn't, and the state government doesn't seem to want any of it. So I get to keep all my YouTube monies. It's wonderful. Follow me on Twitter at Andrew Eisen, and River says, I still can't find an NES Classic since launch. Yeah. You will never find one, River. Nintendo doesn't want you to have one. Nintendo doesn't like your money. Nintendo doesn't like you. Good night, everybody.